Hello and welcome to my quick guide tank coaching. This is part 1 about the attributes and the armor. Since this is only the quick guide version, I will have with you only a quick, not so deep, not so detailed look into the things, and I will also tell you what you need to start right away. Alright, let's start with a look at our attribute points. Before we talk about the attribute points itself, I want you to have a look at the sword over here. At the moment we deal 904 damage. You can see those little weapon symbols next to strength, dexterity and all the others, and you see sword and shield. Yeah, it's right next to strength, so it means it will benefit from strength, and it is also slightly visible here to dexterity, so this means it will benefit the most from strength and also a little bit from dexterity. This tells us basically strength and dexterity are the two attributes we kind of want to focus on. You want to have always 150 strength. This means it gives us 5% bonus attack on light attacks, 10% bonus damage on heavy attacks, 10% physical damage in general, and 15% stamina regeneration while we're exhausted. Exhausted means our stamina bar is gray and we kind of emptied it to 0. Let's put those points here. And you already see we got around about 60 damage more on our sword. Now we can do the following. You can choose with the other 100 points you have left. You can go into strength 250. This will give us 1169 damage. Or you could put those 100 points into dexterity. This will give us 1171 damage points. So basically no difference if you put it in strength or dexterity, you will get the same benefit out of it. But we need to take a look at the points we get. If we go to 200 strength, we will deal another 10% damage to stunned, slowed and rooted enemies, and also will have 33 stamina regeneration while we're performing basic melee attacks. Those are two very good perks. If you want, you can, like I said, also go for dexterity. This will give us 5% critical hit chance, 5% damage with full health, which is kind of doable as a tank if you have a good heal, and plus 5% damage while our stamina is not full, which will kind of happen if you keep blocking or sometimes even do a dodge. So like I said, you can choose if you want to have 150, 100 or 250 and like those 5 points here. More interesting is Constitution. Constitution, you want to have at least always 300 points. But let's get over it step by step. The 25% bonus is all health consumables are 10% stronger. So like your health potions, the regeneration from food, stuff like this. Then the 50%, the 50-point bonus is 10% physical armor when at or above 50% health. Sure, armor we always want to have. Then 10% more health in general if you have 100 points. 150 points will reduce 10% critical damage taken. Also very nice. And the 200 points are increasing our physical and elemental armor. Also very, very nice. Armor best as a tank. Then 250 points is like a little cooldown we get here. Every 30 seconds we get 60% damage reduction when we have full health. Like I said, with a good healer you will kind of always have full health, then you drop and then he heals you back up. And now we go to 300. This is the most important perk. Basic melee attacks gain grit. Grit means you can only be stunned. Everything other you cannot get staggered or stuff like this or knocked down. You're basically mostly immune to CC effects. So this is why you want to have this 300 points. There's also a weapon perk where you get additional bonus damage if you have active crit. And the 351 is 10% damage reduction while you have active crit. So those you can kind of basically put together. And you can reach this with using the buff hood I will talk about later. Alright, let's talk about our armor. And the shield also counts towards the armor, that's why I'm wearing one at the moment. So, the very first two things, which is basically mandatory. We always want to play in heavy, because the heavy gear will give us the most armor, elemental and physical wise. The next thing is, as a shield, we always want to have a tower shield, because the shield gives us block stability, and this is the highest stability you can get. Kite shield is lower and round shield is even lower. So this is the very first thing you know, heavy and tower shield. Okay, let's have a look at the perks of the gear. For the moment in Season 3, a must-have perk is health. Because as a tank you need a huge health pool, because you will get hit, you need to take some hits, and you can just basically not die from those hits. So every one of my gear pieces has health on there, and you should try to do the same. The next thing is like a defense perk. You can play with Grid Ward, which will basically gives you a basic damage reduction when you have grid active. It does not matter if the grid comes from performing the basic melee attacks, like it says in our attribute points. Basic melee attacks gain grid on 300 points, or some abilities, if you perform them, will also give you grid. Then you will always get like it's 5 pieces with 3%, so it's like 15% flat damage reduction on every kind of attack. Another alternative you can play is Enchanted Ward. This gives you 4% damage reduction, but only for light and heavy attacks. This means if you get hit by an ability, you would take the full damage of the ability. You need to just figure out what's the best for you. If you want to have like always flat damage reduction on like the basic attacks, or if you say I can manage to have mostly grid active or be blocking, because if you don't have any grid active, then you don't have any damage reduction at all. So it's like, I would say, preferable what you like to play. Then as the third perk, you can basically choose. So you can even go and play like a purple gear set with only health and grid, or only health and Enchanted Ward for the beginning, and then just go and get another perk. I like to have on my hat weapon perks. Here, for example, I have the reverse step for my sword. Then I have down here the perk Sundering Clear Out for my warhammer, or I have also one for the greatsword where I play the energizing counter ability. So since the hat is the cheapest one to craft next to hands and boots, I recommend the perk on there. Then let's talk about the chest. The chest has exclusive chest only perk. This is sturdy energy. You can also have it on the shield, but there we would like to have rather other perks. So the chest is just a good perk to have sturdy energy on there. The hands have also an exclusive perk. Let me quickly figure out where it is. There. Empowering Breaker. So you can make a choose. If you play with enemies which are blocking, then Empowering Breaker is for sure a perk you can grab. Otherwise, you could just go for Refreshing, which is a good perk in general. Yeah, I like to have, like I said, weapon perk on the hat, sturdy energy on the chest, and then run whatever I need on the other three. Then, okay, let's have a look at the shield. Besides the fact that we have a tower shield, there is a must-have perk, and this is called Sturdy. Sturdy is reducing your stamina damage taken when you block. Like I said, this is such a must-have perk. If your shield does not have Sturdy, just throw it away. Shield defense is like a standard perk on tower shields. You can't do anything about it. It's just there. Then we can talk about the 2 other perks beside those which are kind of always sad. You should have a weapon perk on your shield. Most people like to go with Fortifying Shield Rush. This means if you use the Shield Rush ability, you get 35% Fortify. This means it increases your armor by 35% for 6 seconds, which is a very good perk. There's an alternative one. This is the Resolve one. If you use the Defender Resolve ability, you get increased movement speed, and your incoming healing is increased by 14% for 6 seconds. Like I said, choose whatever you want perk-wise, and then at the last perk, I give you the little hint to go in the beginning at least for Hated, which will increase the generation of threat you get, because in the beginning it's hard, and maybe even if you go with very strong DPS, I also still go for a Hated shield because it just helps me to keep aggro, and this basically keeps my mates alive. Okay, that's so far for the armor.